Hey everybody, I'm Zack Woods here in the Bask Retreat Center prep kitchen, and we're about to cook up something delicious. Join in. We're going to be making what should be an hour and a half long, but we're going to turn it into a 45-minute long with a trick that starts at the beginning, Greek stuffed pepper. We're going to be doing these both vegetarian and with a beef option, all cooked inside of this beautiful pot from Greece, believe it or not. So join in, happy to have you guys along. We'll kind of run through our ingredients later on, but we're going to start again to accelerate this and make it a 45-minute cook instead of an hour and a half cook with chopping off our pepper tops. We have a nice mix of red and orange and yellow bell peppers. We're just lopping the tops off these bad boys and scooping out the insides. Handy dandy trick, always have a bowl that you don't need on your counter. And what we're going to do is once these are cleaned out and de-ribbed and de-seeded, we're going to put just the tiniest splash of water here in our pot. Just enough to let the pepper submerge. And instead of going butt down, we're going to go with the opening down so that as these cook at 350 in the oven, you're actually steaming the inside of them and helping them pre-cook so that when you put all the goodies in, you can solve for that. So you drop these in, uncooked. We'll set a 20-minute, oh, that's 20-second. That ain't gonna work. You know what? We're remixing it. Hey Siri, set a 15-minute timer. Any home cook's best friend right there. You need the Siri, and you also need your towel because if you're not spilling, you ain't really trying that hard. While we're working on that, we're going to get our rice going as well, and then we're going to have some more fun prepping up the vegetables. So here we have 2 cups of white Spanish rice. I'm going to go down with both cups. This is a little secret. You give the rice 3 washes. A little hand wash. No rice vision here. But what we're doing is we're looking to wash this rice. We're looking to rinse the rice until we don't have any milky white liquid coming off it. And you just pour until you're pretty close to having the okay, this is our 3rd rinse. Water could be cold or hot, doesn't really matter. We are running pretty clear here on our water. And now the ultimate trick. We're going to fill this pot. It's called the finger trick. And somehow, no matter how long your index finger is, it's actually irrelevant. You stick your finger into the top of the rice pot, and as long as the water is about a fingertip's length taller than the rice, you're good to go. So we're going to put this on the stove. We're going to put it on high. Once that boils, we'll let it roll boil for 5 minutes. Then we'll top it. And in the meantime, we'll get to dicing. I think for the sake of my sanity and also for the sake of me not crying on my big stand and stir kitchen TV debut, I'm only going to do a half an onion. Everyone's talking partner at the dinner table will thank me for that. Got our onions going in a fine dice. There we go. Pop the rest of that there. And then we are going to add this half and half to our non-beef and beef side. I'm gonna go ahead and go down with a little bit of garlic, caveman style. This is probably my favorite trick that I've ever learned in the kitchen. I know, don't tell my mom that. She'll be pretty disappointed because I don't know if she ever used fresh garlic my entire life growing up. But if you take garlic, one, you could put these cloves with the peel on them or with the cover on them, put them in a pickle jar or any type of jar that would shake, something like this. Shake them up, takes the skin off. We're not doing that because this is entry level stuff, okay? We don't want to get too crazy. But what we do want to do is on this garlic, we're going to take just the smallest pinch of coarse sea salt. You're going to do a little rough chop on the garlic. And maybe one more rough chop. And then we're going to use the back edge of our knife. And the coarseness of that sea salt is grinding into, we lost another little piece of shell. The coarseness of the sea salt grinds into the garlic and you create this really pretty paste. You'll see a little bit of liquid coming out. That's a good sign. And what this does is it allows the garlic to more easily and more thoroughly incorporate into your dish. We're gonna go one more little dice and one last back of knife flat. Look at that. Bam, right? Nice garlic paste, ready to roll. We'll do, I think I'm gonna do a quarter lemon. So this is for my vegetarian version, which will kind of feature rice and garbanzo beans. This is for the meat version. This is just for the camera's looking pleasure. I'm also gonna add 2 apples. I just am a big believer in playing with what Sabine Nostrat calls the 4 magic ingredients: salt, sugar, fat, and acid, and heat. I should say 5 key ingredients. And this is gonna provide a little bit of sweetness. The goal of this dish is, of course, not to make it sweet, but to make it balanced. And that's kind of what I'm going for, is to have a nice balanced dish that isn't overly savory, but that still tastes super delicious. I think 1 apple is gonna get us there. I don't think we need more than that. And I'm kind of doing this in, you know, not super duper fine dice because this is gonna kind of melt down with our saute as we're prepping it. So we have our apples ready to go. We have our lemon wedges, our parsley, which, don't worry, I'm not gonna use this much parsley. We'll kind of use that later. Not gonna use that. And then I am gonna prep our garbanzo beans. Be thankful that I did this off camera, and there is a reason we're only using 1 can of garbanzo beans. We only have this can opener. So I'm gonna rinse these garbanzo beans and then we'll get started with our saute. All right, garbanzo beans are nice and rinsed. We got some good action going on our rice. You can't see it, but we have some bubbles forming. We're gonna turn that down to maybe like medium heat, medium high. We want it to continue boiling. And I just so happen to have a 6-minute timer left. So when that goes off, we'll turn that and cover that and turn it down to 2 so that for the next 10 minutes, the rice can continue to steam as opposed to boil, which will create a really nice fluffy rice texture. Cool. Thanks for jumping over here to the oven with me. We are going to pull out our pre-steamed peppers. These bad boys are looking beautiful. Again, the goal of that was not to finish these yet. We're just trying to give them a chance to get a little bit of steamy going, a little fore steam, if you will. on the underneath side, so that when we stuff them with our mixture that we're about to make, whether vegan or whether vegetarian or medley, that you'll have a softer, more biteable pepper at the end of your final bake. So we can just let these sit back in the back for a minute. They're not bothering anybody, hanging out back there. And we are going to go ahead and get started with our 2 sautés. So we're going to let this pan warm up just for a small second. For some, grazia is a finishing oil. For me, it's an all-season oil, because if it's delicious, then use it. And my faux stunt went awry there because the bottle wasn't even open. Okay, it shows how much I've really used the grazia, which is none so far. And I can't open the daggum grazia. Here we go. I'm gonna use the back of this knife. That's gonna help me do what I need to do. And open that guy up. We're gonna go ahead and go in with a little oil in, this will be our medley pan, and the back pan will be for the mixture for our vegetarian option. So let me also get the back burner up and rolling. I am a big fan, team, of cooking at 6 out of 10, 7 out of 10. I just feel like it gives you way more sort of crisp and char on your food as opposed to just soft, warm stuff. Remember, heat is your friend when you're cooking. So we're gonna let that pan get nice and hot. We also have our rice in this gorgeous copper pot getting prepped up. And I need my knife. We're gonna load up pan A and pan B. Everybody, sizzle time. Ready? Sizzle. No sizzle. We're letting the pan get hotter. Okay, got a little onion in both of these guys. Little onion there, little onion there. We're also gonna add, bada bing. Make sure our heat is on. Oh yeah, we are definitely hot there, and we are hot there. Do a quick check on our rice. We're looking pretty good. We're gonna give that 1 more minute, and then the magic, the secret to perfect rice is do not take this lid off again after you turn the heat off for 5 minutes. We'll use our dear friend Siri again to keep us accountable on our timing. But if you take the rice off, you're gonna regret it. And now the sizzle is upon us. We're so glad to hear it. We're so glad to hear it. All right, first things first, while we're sizzling, we're gonna go ahead and salt our onion. Now remember folks, this is like well, there's 2 ways to think about this. Some chefs or cooks or stand-in stirrers like myself say to salt as you go. I think that that's probably accurate, salt as you go, but I prefer to salt up front, a decent amount, remembering that I don't then have to think about, oh, did I salt after the apple? Did I salt after the rice? You salt up front, accommodating for the quantity of food that you're going to prepare. And then you can obviously taste test when you're 80% of the way done through your recipe. Is this hitting? Is this flavorful? Does this slap? If yes, awesome, no more salt. If no, then salt. I also need to grab a wooden spoon. And you know what? For all of you people that are out there thinking, is he going to cross-contaminate? Is he going to put the beef spoon with the vegan spoon? No, he's not. Because he thinks about y'all and he wants you to know he cares. But we are going to do 2 spoons at once because, you got to earn your time on the camera. You got to earn it. You got to want it. Okay. Didn't do it. Didn't cross them. And, okay. A little bit more oil. Remember, this oil is going to last for the entire recipe. So if you think you got too much for the onion, you may, because you don't just have onion going in. We're going to do a 1/2 pound of organic 8515 grass-fed beef here. We actually made an audible on the fly to do part of this vegetarian and part of this with meat. So we can go ahead and pop that in the fridge so it can preserve. We'll start to break that meat down. We'll keep our spoon over there. And we will start to let our meat brown off. Smelling some. Turn our rice off and just let your rice sit on the stove cooking. Still in its pot. And I'm gonna set a little 5-minute timer to not forget my rice. Hey Siri, set a 5-minute timer.
5 minutes starting now.
Okay, keeping us going. We're gonna drop half of our Gala apples into our medley pan, half of our Gala apples into our veggie pan. Give that a quick stir about. Okay, let it sit, and we're going to give this a little stir as well. I know y'all came for the flip. Those on the live stream are thinking, is this guy going to burn the house down? Maybe he will. Maybe he won't. Hopefully he doesn't. It's breaking up our meat. All right. And as our meat begins to cook down, it is spices time. What are our spices today? We've got ground nutmeg, we've got cinnamon, we've got cumin, we've got some crushed red pepper for a little bit of background heat. We got cayenne pepper for a little bit of front of mouth and front palate heat. And we also have some dried crushed oregano that is going to help, I would say, add a little undertone of earthiness to the brightness of the apple and the citrus with the lemon and the parsley that we're going to use to finish at the end of our bake. So let's go in with our different seasonings. If you feel so froggy, feel free to kind of eyeball your seasonings. I eyeball my seasonings all the time. It works for me. I don't know. Just feel free to do it. Got the nutmeg in. This house is about to smell incredible. We got a little bit of cinnamon. I'd call it like half a teaspoon on all of these ground spices. Half a teaspoon on these. Cayenne, probably go a quarter teaspoon on quarter teaspoon in each dish. Crushed red pepper, 4 blahs, 4 boom 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 booms, okay? Bam, done. Cumin, we'll go, I'd say half a teaspoon with the cumin. You can go a little over on cumin. I'm gonna give this one a little more oil because remember, we don't have the beef in our vegetarian option. So without the beef in the vegetarian option, you just have a lot less liquid in your pan. So you gotta kind of stay a little more vigilant. And then last but not least, we'll go with about, call it 3/4 of a teaspoon of oregano. We're gonna keep that in. Hopefully in the live stream as well, because holy cow, is it getting steamy up in cheer. All right, got our oregano down, and then I also want to add our rinsed and decanned and hopefully uninjured garbanzo beans to both pans. Oh, there's a little bit of water. I'm even going to riff, because this has less liquid, again, coming back to the fact that the beef is adding moisture to that particular filling, I'm gonna add, call it like 1/5 of a cup of water to that mixture. I can't help but emphasize, I think cooking is, cooking ain't baking, as my wife likes to say. And sometimes you just got to do what feels right. And what feels right is just developed from looking at enough pans of sizzling stuff and then making an instinctual decision. So I'm liking what I see there. That water, of course, is going to dissolve. We've got some beautiful color and aroma going on our medley dish. And I'm excited. I think it's about time for this rice to be done. Anyone that was clocking me knows that it probably was 10 minutes that I left it covered. You're not going to offend the rice by going longer, but you will offend it by going shorter. So the grand display, that is hotter than hell. Oh, there was my 5-minute rice timer. Who knew? Genius. What can I say? You know, I'm going to break the fourth wall and say, how does that rice look, team? Right? Is that rice looking fluffy for y'all? Okay, that is some fluffy stuff right there. And that fluffy stuff is, I mean, come on, right? We got no stick at the bottom of our rice. I don't know if we can get a close-up of that, but we got no stick on our pan. We have a perfectly fluffy, honestly, Nigel, I feel like our spot over on West Side would appreciate this level of awesomeness on the rice. I'm gonna take about a cup of this rice. I think that I made well, not a boo-boo. You never mess up when you made too much rice. I think I made a small miscalculation. 2 cups of dried rice makes 4 cups of served rice. So I'm basically looking for about a cup and a half, or even, yeah, a cup and a half to be left. And that means I've used the equivalent of 2.5 cups across these 2 pans. So I'm feeling good about that. Start to shimmy, shimmy, shake, shake again. I'm letting the rice kind of grab a little bit of the flavor of that mixture. Same concept applies over here. And in addition to letting the rice get a little bit of the flavor, this is a pro tip on these stuffed peppers. Get this to a position where it's like, okay, everything's cooked, your ground beef is fully done over here on the right side, all of this mixture, your apples are to the right consistency. Get both of these mixtures sort of semi-packed in. You're not making bricks, okay, of anything, for the record. You're not making bricks of anything. Get it semi-packed in. You keep the heat at 6 or 7. Let this work. Let this work. If anyone's ever had Persian rice or, you know, any rice dish that has this beautiful crispiness at the bottom, you know that rice can express this beautiful nuttiness when appropriately toasted. And that's what we're going for here. So we're keeping this at medium-high heat, 6 or 7 out of 10 on both sides. And we're letting this not brown, but develop just for a hot second. Stick with me. After this browns, we're almost ready to do a little lemon drizzle on these mixtures. We're gonna stuff our peppers. We're gonna bake them off for maybe 20 minutes. We're gonna pull them out. We're gonna make some Instagram content with some Maldon salt moving around. Catch you in a minute.
Action.
All right, welcome back. Head on over this way. We're just grabbing our 2 prepared mixtures. We have our beef, rice, garbanzo bean, and accoutrement mixture there. And then we have our vegetarian options here. And we are gonna do what you all came to see. We're gonna stuff some peppers. Before I get to totally stuffing, I'm just gonna go ahead and prep my parsley, which is gonna go over the top of the peppers when they are ready. I also am going to quickly dice some garlic stuffed olives. Don't worry, the olive juice will be featured here in a moment as well. I'm gonna drag that over. I kind of like these to be a little chunky. That way, if you're biting into it, you sort of see like incoming, right? You know what you're about to get into. So first things first, we pick up a pepper, we take a vegetarian spoon, and folks, there ain't nothing that fancy about it. You just start putting stuff inside of it. Now, I'm gonna get almost 3/4 of the way full. I'm gonna take a little bit of my lemon. I'm gonna take a very small splash of olive juice. I'm gonna finish filling this thing up. And you don't wanna go, I know the temptation is to make this look like a molehill. Please don't. This thing will absorb a little more of the liquid that we just put in. It's gonna puff up just a touch while it's in the oven. And I'm gonna place this in our dish. Inside of the dish, just for the record, we have turned over our prepped, peppers, and we've also added about a 1/4 inch of water into the bottom of the dish so that the steam of the dish, when we have it with its lid on, can continue to do a little bit of cooking. I forgot to put olives on the top, but I'm gonna do that here in a second. We're gonna go with our lemon again. We're gonna go with our splash of olive juice, and then we're putting the rest of our stuffing in there. And I think we're gonna have just enough for 3, which is perfect. There. Same thing. Don't let cooking be boring, have fun. Again, for anyone that's just joining along, we have basmati rice cooked to perfection. We actually got a call when we were taking a commercial break from 2 different Indian restaurants that wanted to pick me up as a celebrity rice chef. Very kind, but I'm taken. Appreciate the offer. We're gonna run this back. You know what, let's be kind of funky, both for Nigel's calendar's sake and mine. We'll go full stuffing, right? We'll go a little bit of olive, tapenade, lemon, olive juice, and for the beef medley ones, we're gonna do all 3 of those, the lemon, olives, and little topping. We're just gonna do that all at once. So again, cross-contamination, well, I guess I could use that spoon if I wanted to. Here, we're just going full shovel mode because there's no perfect way to do it. I do want to call out, while we were on the commercial break, I showed this rice, the crispiness of this rice, to our 2 cinematographers. They were completely blissed out. They knew that this rice meant serious business. We're continuing to stuff, same deal, going all the way in. You know what would be really good with this? Pine nuts. Pine nuts would be really good. Maybe even some dried fig, dried apricot. It probably is a little too philosophical for a 15-minute cooking show, but one of the things I love and find so therapeutic about cooking is that it inspires me to think about how could I do this dish differently, and I find a parallel of how could I do this thing in my life differently, right? It isn't always about cooking. Sometimes it's about our approach to life in general. So, taking my olives, we've already put olives, remember, in our vegetarian ones. We're gonna do these on top. That'll also help us distinguish our vegetarian from our non-vegetarian. We're gonna do a lemon squeeze. And don't worry, you know what? Lemon squeeze, I'm putting these 2 lemons in the side. Those are gonna bake and add their sort of effervescence to the mixture. I got a nice handful of parsley. I'm just gonna toss on there. And then last but not least, we're gonna add this gorgeous Aldi purchased feta cheese. We are not sponsored yet, but guys, if y'all are looking for some cheese, Aldi is the bee's knees. They got some deals, man. Shop local, but also if you're on a budget, because times are tough, shop at Aldi, because they got good stuff. Because we fancy and we did bring the Grazia olive oil, we're gonna go with a little splurge of olive oil on there. We are ready to put this on a lid. We're gonna take this bad boy, we're putting it in the oven covered for 20 minutes. We're gonna uncover it for 5 to 10 minutes until it's gorgeous and golden. Come back in a second. All right, folks, stuffed peppers have been baking in the oven. We ramped up the temp a little bit because people got places to be. They baked at 400 for about 25 minutes covered, and then for about 5 minutes without the cover, just to let the feta melt just a touch. We're gonna take them out, we're gonna plate them up, and then we're gonna taste them. So stick with me. Careful not to burn my hands, that's bad TV. Softly shut the oven. Okay. Pop that down on the hot plates. All right. We're gonna go in and fetch one of these bad boys. Look at that, right? So, number one, it stands perfectly. Ooh, that is hot. Okay, don't worry, team. You do burn yourself sometimes when you cook, but it's a metaphor for life. You just keep on going. Okay, you can't coach that they stand like that, okay? That had nothing to do with me. That's just perfection. We're gonna do a very light drizzle of olive oil on top because you really don't care about your food if you don't. This is for all those Salt Bae fans. A very small dusting of Maldon. And here we have a vegetarian Greek stuffed pepper, as well as a meat medley stuffed pepper. As is obligatory, I'm gonna cut into one of these bad boys, and we'll see how it all sticks together, because I don't wanna have to cut away and it not work. Holy cow, it actually stayed in its contraption. It's falling apart. Who cares, okay? Take it, put some food on it, and collective from the crowd. Really appreciate you guys being with us today. We look forward to serving you when we're open, but in the meantime, we look forward to serving up excellent content, fun recipes, and good times in the kitchen here at Bask. Thanks.